I was sitting in a staff meeting at a local newspaper office in Ocean City, Maryland, 2 months after leaving a 26-year sports journalism career to start fresh in a new city, and something inside me snapped. I'd made the leap. I'd taken the risk. I'd left the sports journalism industry. I moved my family. And here I was sitting in this meeting, having convinced myself I was only working for a newspaper to make ends meet until my health and wellness career took off. But in reality, I'd gone right back to my old pattern in brand new surroundings. So after that meeting, I asked to speak with the editor, and I put in my 2 weeks right then and there. What gave me the courage to do that, really for the second time, was something that had absolutely nothing to do with career strategy. It had everything to do with my health and fitness, and what all that work I had put in to accomplish that was intended to do. I want you to remember that thought as I welcome you once again to the Fitness is Our Business podcast, the show that helps busy professionals thrive in their demanding lives by taking control of their health and fitness. I am your host, Victor Fernandez, founder of Fernandez Fit and best-selling author. And I coach entrepreneurs and business owners who've built something real and are finally ready to build a real elite version of themselves to match it. This is your first time listening to the show, welcome. Glad you're here. But whether you're new or you've been following for a while, second, third, fourth, umpteenth time, make sure to like the show, leave a review, subscribe, and share it far and wide, because more people need to learn that fitness is our business. All right, little backstory to the story that I shared to start the show. I grew up the son of Portuguese immigrants. My parents came to this country with almost nothing. They were left with $9 in the bank after purchasing the home my mother still lives in nearly 50 years later. And they built a life and a family through sheer force of will and sacrifice. That was the blueprint I inherited. You work hard, you show up, you provide, you sacrifice. You do what you have to do to make it happen. Enjoyment, fun, that comes later. Living life to the fullest comes after. So I built a career in sports journalism. It's what I wanted to do. I was good at it. 26 years later, I was still good at it. And along the way, I'd covered professional athletes at the highest level. I was respected for the work I put in and how much effort I put into it. I was proud of the work I'd done. But somewhere around year 20, I stopped loving it. But I kept going. Because that's what I was taught to do. That's what was ingrained within me. That was the blueprint I described earlier. I was really burned out in a way that's really hard to describe, because it didn't happen all at once. It wasn't anything dramatic. I just felt empty, hollow inside. No emotion, no passion, no enjoyment. I was simply going through the motions of a career that I'd outgrown, in a life that I stopped, feeling present for and being present for. And then something happened that changed it all. And you know what this is. I've talked about this a lot. My son, Zach, being born. I looked at him and I knew in a lot of different ways. But in this particular instance, the kind of clarity that only comes from a really honest moment, that I simply couldn't keep living the way I was living. Not for him, not for my wife, Shelley, not for our entire family, not for me. So I had no choice. I had convinced myself I couldn't afford a coach, but I also had to convince myself that I couldn't afford not to hire a coach. So I did. And I started working on my health. And that's what happened over the next year and a half or so. But it wasn't just a physical transformation. It was a complete reconstruction, a complete transformation of who I was, who I believed I was, and what I believed I was capable of. And I was reminded of that journey and all the work I did along the way while sitting in that meeting that I referenced earlier in that newspaper office about 7 years ago. And here's what I want entrepreneurs to understand from that story, because I think this is one of the most important things I've learned in my entire life. When you take control of your health, you start to believe you can take control of other things. That's not a metaphor for life. That's not, language intended to motivate you. That's what happened to me. And as the weight came off, as I started showing up for workouts I didn't want to do, finishing sessions that I almost quit along the way, doing the hard things on the days that it was hardest to do those things, something was being built that went way beyond the physical body. Confidence, real confidence, not the professional confidence I'd developed over 26 years in journalism, because I'll be honest, that was fake. Yes, I was good at what I did, but the rest of me was an absolute mess. No, it was something deeper. The belief that I could do hard things, that I could be uncomfortable and simply keep going, no matter what, that I could rebuild something from the ground up, something truly, that I needed to truly cherish. And that was me from the inside out. And it was that belief that gave me the courage to walk into my editor's office that day and tell him I was done. Because to move my family to Ocean City and start Fernandez Fit with no guarantee it would work, to walk away from the newspaper job 2 months later when I realized I was going back into my old habits in a new place, to move once again to where we are now in the Wilmington, North Carolina area, to begin again, to build again from scratch. None of that happens. I mean, none of it, without first deciding I was worth betting on. And the first place I made that decision was my health. There's nothing more important than our health, folks. Nothing. Because it impacts everything else we do in life and we have in our life. It's the only thing we can say that about. You lose your job. You can go get another job and make money. You start losing your health, now you've got a real problem. And this is what I want entrepreneurs to know. Business owners, entrepreneurs, career-driven people. I want you to know what the great people, the great family I have in the Fernandez Fit family already know. You have to find the courage to bet on your business, on yourself. You've taken the risk of building something, of leading people, of putting themselves out there in the professional world. But you have to find that same courage for yourself. Think of it this way. How many of you out there have invested in a business coach? Now, how many of you who have invested in a business coach have invested in a health and fitness coach? People who do that read every book about leadership and apply it to what they do in the business world, but never apply the same principles they learn in those books or from their coaches to their own well-being. They'll hold their team to professional standards they'll never hold themselves to from a personal perspective. And what I want to say about that, and directly and unapologetically, is this. The courage that built your business, the courage that built your career, the courage that built my career is the same courage that transforms health. You already have that courage You've already proven it. You just haven't applied it to yourself. Passion over paycheck is a decision I made about my career when it came time to get out of the newspaper industry. But I could only make that choice and really apply it, really follow through on it until I'd made a decision about my health and took care of it and actually did something about it. Because when you know, I mean, really know from lived experience that you can do hard things and come out stronger on the other side, you stop being afraid of the next hard thing. That's what I wanted for me. That's what I still want for me. And that's what I want for you. It's not simply about just being physically healthier. It's about being braver and more confident in all aspects of our life. Because once you do that, you're unstoppable. If any of this, even just a small nugget of information that I shared today, resonated with you, if you heard yourself, if you could relate to what was said in the story that I shared, we need to have a conversation. So shoot me a DM on any of my social media platforms. Shoot me a message at fernandezfit.com. Heck, call me, text me, 814-504-7774. First meeting, first call is free. There's going to be no pitch. There's going to be, no sales going on in that conversation. It's just a real conversation because that's what we need to have. That's where it all begins. And of course, as always, do me a solid, like the show, leave a review, subscribe to the show, of course, and share it far and wide if you haven't already. Share it with the entrepreneur, business owner, career-driven person in your life who's been building their business and career bravely, but hasn't turned that same courage toward themselves yet. Because those are the very people that need to learn that fitness is our business.